Got that never-ending tension and tightness in the traps? Tried all the stretches, mobility work, foam rolling, jamming, any device you can find into the area, posture correction, chiropractic adjustments, and the deepest of soul-crushing massages, only to have the problem come back the next day? Then this video is for you. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Dr. Matt Maggio, and I'm a non-surgical expert in chronic pain treatment. My focus is on finding and fixing nerves that become stuck to muscles with a glue-like substance called adhesion, also known as scar tissue, and then reducing inflammation from chronic pain naturally without the use of medications or injections. This leads to a big increase in flexibility, functioning, and long-lasting pain relief. All right, let's get right into it. Tight traps from tension knots explained, causes and how we help to fix them. So I talk about this all the time, and people are always like, what are knots? What are they forming? A lot of people say they're trigger points and things like that. They're not. They're actually something different. They're this stuff called adhesion. So basically, over time, with bad posture, sitting too much, not moving enough, maybe over exercising, doing stuff, the muscles, especially in the neck and the mid back, they get constantly stretched. When they get constantly stretched, they don't get enough blood flow, they don't get enough oxygen. So it sends a signal to the brain, and the brain goes, hey, there must be an injury there. So we should try to help out. So it starts to pump out this stuff called collagen. But the problem with that collagen is it isn't fully developed or fully cooked, and it sends it out there, and then it gets inside the muscle, as this image over here on the right. It's like somebody poured glue in there. And the first thing it does is it really decreases flexibility of the muscle, and then it causes it to become weak as well. So that's where it kind of starts, where people might just have a little bit of tightness, but like nothing too bad, where it's annoying, but they're like, just part of living and being in a modern society. But then what happens over time as that adhesion gets bigger and bigger, eventually it gets stuck to the nerve. And nerves are built with about 15% of extra slack to keep them healthy. But over time, they get stuck to the nerve. And when they get stuck to the nerve, they cause a lot more problems, more intense symptoms, and things like this. So, the most common nerve in the human body to get stuck to muscles in the neck, especially the trap, is this nerve called the spinal accessory nerve. It basically helps to move the trap and move the big muscle in the front called the SCM. But over time, with bad posture, looking down, everything that I said, that nerve entrapment occurs. And the first thing that happens with it, you get a little bit of numbness. When nerves first get caught, they get a little numb. Then they start to get a little bit achy, and eventually they burn. And then that's where that tension comes in. Things start to tighten up because the nerve is getting entrapped. The body wants to take the pressure off of the nerve because it is getting stuck. Then you develop this thing called protective tension. So the body's like main priority is to keep the nervous system healthy, keep it moving good, and keeping it in a good place. So what happens over time as that nerve gets caught, maybe you'll start to get a lot more tension in the traps, tension around the muscles because that nerve is getting caught. And a lot of people think it's like a trigger point or something that just needs to be, dug out or jammed out in there. Then what happens is you start to get some postural changes. So maybe the trap might elevate, the shoulder might roll forward, and everyone's like, oh, I just need to correct my posture. No, that's happening for a reason. It's your body's way of trying to unload that nerve entrapment that's happening in there. I always say the best example of this as well is like when you sprain your ankle, your body knows to limp because it's trying not to load the area. The same thing's happening when this nerve entrapment is occurring. Then what happens is now when that nerve entrapment occurs in the muscle, then it is less flexible. It's weaker. The force has to go somewhere. So eventually it starts going to the discs and the joints in the neck. And then people get bigger problems like degenerative disc disease, bulges in the disc, joint problems, and things like that. A lot of arthritis and things like that. But it started with the adhesion, then it got to the nerve, and then causes a lot bigger problems down the road. So over here on the left, I have this fancy rubber band. Rubber band really helps me understand the components of a treatment and if it's going to work. So I always say you have a rubber band and you need to break it. You're going to pull it apart. I could put a rubber band on the ground and I could jump on it. I could drive a car over it. I could do a lot of things, but it's not going to actually break that rubber band. We need the right amount of depth and the right amount of tension. So some common ones is stretching. So when people do stretching, yeah, you get some of the tension component, but you don't actually get the depth component. You need to get depth first and then tension. So a lot of treatments are only getting one of those aspects. So yeah, when you're stretching it and you're moving it, it temporarily feels better because you stimulate some stuff in the spinal cord and the brain. It blocks that pain for a little bit, but you didn't actually fix the nerve entrapment or the adhesion. You just gave this window where it temporarily felt better. Mobility work. Once again, the moving the muscles around is helping to stimulate some blood flow and some oxygen to the area, but it's not actually fixing the problem because you're not getting the depth, you're not getting the tension. I always say it's like trying to fix a cavity by brushing and flossing. It's a little too late. Mobility work and stretching is really good when the muscles are healthy to keep them healthy, but once that adhesion, that nerve entrapment kicks in, all that's not going to help. You need to get it actually treated effectively by an expert. Foam rolling, once again, it just gets the one aspect of the depth. It doesn't get that tension. Jamming lacrosse balls and elbows into the area that are painful, once again, just depth, no tension. And just because something hurts doesn't mean it's actually doing something. It just plays a trick on your body, on your brain, where you temporarily feel better, but it's not actually fixing the problem. Posture correction, you can do all the posture correction you want in the world, but the muscles are not healthy. They're less flexible. They're weak. So you ever try to do all this posture correction where you're sitting at your desk all day, trying to keep your shoulders back, trying to do all this stuff, only to have the problem come back because the muscles are getting tired because they don't have enough blood flow. They don't have enough oxygen. They can't do their job. They're already getting beat to hell, but the tissue's not healthy. So it's kind of like just spinning your tires in the mud and not really getting anywhere. Chiropractic adjustments, um, they're addressing the bone. The bone goes out of place and they put it back in place. But the real concept is the muscles are what hold the bone in place. So if you don't fix the muscles and you keep putting the bone back in place, you're not going to get any better. It's a good business model for them because you keep coming back, but it's not actually getting to the root cause of the problem. Lastly, is soul crushing deep tissue massages. People are like, yeah, I just need you to get in there and dig it out with your elbow, really beat the hell out of me, just scrape it all out of there. Once again, no tension, just depth. And just because something hurts doesn't mean it's doing something. So, to get long lasting pain relief treatment, you need to have it all needs to be the following. It has to fit these criteria. First, it needs to be safe. So all the treatments that I mentioned above and common ones, they are safe. There's not like you're not getting like an injection or surgery or things like that. So on the root level, they are safe. There are some risk with like spinal manipulation and stuff like that with strokes and things like that, but they're very uncommon. So overall, all the things I listed are safe. Next is effective. It depends what you're using for the term of effective. Like anything you do to a muscle, to an area, stretch it, roll it, jam a lacrosse ball in there, get an adjustment, it's going to temporarily block the pain. I always say it's kind of like when you jam your thumb in the door, you kind of shake it out just like that. It blocks some of that pain. It didn't actually fix anything. So, yeah, they are effective short term. Now, the key that comes in is durable. Are they long lasting? And none of those treatments are long lasting because they're not actually making a physical change in the tissue by getting proper depth, proper tension, and breaking that down. That's why those other treatments are not working. They're not long lasting, and you just get that temporary relief because you're not making an actual change in the muscle. I really am sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but all that stuff you're doing isn't working, and you're just wasting your time and your money. There's hope, though. We all need hope. The best providers in the world that specialize in diagnosing and treating nerves getting stuck in muscles are trained in my system called the Peak Injury Treatment Method. And we have certified treatment experts all over that can help get rid of those tight traps for good. What our providers are trained in is finding and fixing the adhesion through a very thorough exam, evaluation, palpation. They basically find the area, get proper depth, proper tension, have you go through a full range of motion. That's what actually breaks down that adhesion, allows all that bad stuff to free up and allows blood flow and oxygen to come in and really hits that durable component for that long lasting pain relief. If you need help, tired of getting the merry-go-round of everyone else, wasting your time, wasting your money, always in pain and being like, what the hell? Do I got to deal with this forever? Click the link in our profile. First off, to learn more and see what we're all about, and also request a no charge consultation with one of our dedicated providers. And finally, get on the path to long lasting pain relief. I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you on the next one.